What's up everybody, welcome back to Mystery Money. My name is Nick. In this video I'm going to go into more detail about the Eidl grant. I got a comment on my last video, which I'll link here, the SBA 7A loan subsidy, and I touched on the Eidl program. But the comment said, could I go into more depth about whether businesses will get the additional amount of the $10,000 if they only receive the $1,000 per employee. And a huge shout out to the Carpenters Apprentice, who was the one that posted the comment about more information about the Eidl for this video. So I actually dove directly into that section, I printed it off, I highlighted everything. This is taken directly from congress.gov. The specifics of the Eidl grant portion can be found on pages 862 through 864 of the new HR 133. Before I get into the specifics, do me a favor, smash that like button. Now, in the new bill that was passed, it's a targeted Eidl advance for small businesses. It is found in section 331 on page 862 of the actual bill. And I'm going to show a screenshot here too, but I at least wanted to give you the references because never believe someone on the internet. Do your own research, find your own information, and this is where you can find it. Under the definitions, it talks about a covered entity, which is a small business eligible for under the 7B2 of the Small Business Act during the covered period. So everything previous to this. Located in a low-income community and has suffered an economic loss of greater than 30% and employs no more than 300 people. Now this is anyone applying for the new grant. This isn't what happened before. I'm going to go into that a little bit later, but this is only new applicants of the grant. So once the portal opens, and I believe it says the agency has 15 days to respond to this act in order to expedite that process. So this is only new loans. The economic loss, you have to show that you had gross receipts for an 8-week period between March 2nd, 2020 and December 31st, 2021, relative to a comparable 8-week period immediately preceding March 2nd, 2020 or during 2019, or if the covered entity is a seasonal business as determined by the administrator. So you have to pass that eligibility requirement. Okay, so that's the new $10,000 and what you need to apply for that. Effects of previously received amounts. This is the key point that most people were interested in the video. If you read it, it says respect to a covered entity, received an emergency grant under the section, subsection B, shall be the difference between $10,000 and the amount of the previous received grant. So the procedures, basically, if you request the difference no later than 21 days after that date, the administrator receives the request, will perform verification required under subsection C, making sure you're an actual business and that you are eligible to get the grant. And if they determine that you are eligible for that whole portion of the $10,000, you will get the remainder thereof. Now it does state on page 864 that notification required. The administrator shall provide notice to each of the following entities stating that the entity may be eligible for payment under this section as long as they satisfy the requirements. 1. Each entity that received an emergency grant under the section CARES Act before the date enactment of the Act. 2. Applied for a loan under the section 7B of the Small Business Act. And C, did not receive an emergency grant under section because of unavailability of funding to carry out such section 1110. So I'm reading that as to mean if you applied for the grant but didn't receive it because they ran out of money, you should be notified that you're eligible to receive that grant. This is again where the additional $20 billion was allotted for just this program. And the last section on 865 is where it says that the repeal of the Eidl advance from the PPP portion of that program. So as with the last time when the CARES Act passed, there's still interpretation that the SBA has guidance on and leniency in the way they can administer this program. In the original CARES Act, it did state that they had to do the exact same thing of giving the $10,000, and then the SBA changed the rules. We'll see how this act is interpreted, but I think the language is pretty much, there's not really open to interpretation. It says, or if you received anything less than the $10,000, you're an eligible business, you applied for a loan, you're an eligible entity, cover the criteria, you will get the remainder of that money. Now, the only thing I can see is if, again, they go back and there isn't enough money to cover all of the existing businesses with the grant, I can see that being an issue, and then they may have to throttle the money or whatever. But I believe that at least some of the people should be made whole with the $10,000 grant. I guess it'll just depend on where you were in the queue, when your application got submitted, all those things. Myself, I'm going to wait. I'm not going to reach out right now. I'm going to wait to see till more information comes out from the SBA. But if I were to receive the additional funds from what we received as a business, because we had 4 employees, we received $4,000. So if I miraculously see $6,000 appear in my business checking account, I will make sure to post a video about that. And then I'm going to do an upcoming video on my reconsideration that was approved as soon as I get the documents. So make sure you stay tuned for that. If I missed anything, and you wanted more clarification and I could do a little more research, let me know in a comment below. And since we've come to the end of the year, I want to say have a happy new year, and until next time, have a great day.